Here at Shepherd and Young, the mad dash transit riders know all too well. The rush to make that connecting bus, failure to make it, could mean a long wait. On Queen Street in Brampton, a crush of people on and off this Zoom bus. In Malton, a bunch of passengers exit this My Way bus at Westwood Square. What you're seeing isn't the typical busy evening rush hour as daylight saving sets in. This is the middle of the night. All this video was shot between 12 and 5 a.m. This is the reality shift workers face. A new study out of U of T's School of Cities, in partnership with Mobilizing Justice, is trying to better understand the workforce and travel patterns. They looked at people who arrived at work between 12 p.m. and 4 a.m.
The public transit system in the GTA is really designed to serve peak hour workers. Because of course it was developed decades ago when most people worked 9-to-5 jobs. And of course, we're now transitioning into a 24-hour economy where people need to be at work sites at all hours.
Matthew Palm is the study's lead author. He lived in the GTA before going to teach at the University of North Carolina. In this map based on census data, parts of northern Scarborough and Etobicoke, the eastern half of Brampton, and northeast Mississauga in yellow show areas that have the most shift workers.
What that means is those are residents who are trying to get to work at a time of day when transit service isn't as good, but who are also navigating other challenges.
Now, some of these areas have lower residential, but these are also big commerce areas, especially at and near Pearson Airport. It's just after 2:20 a.m. We're here at the corner of Derry and Bramalea, and this is a huge industrial hub. There's so many companies around here: UPS, FedEx, Wayfair, Air Canada, just to name a few. You'd think with all these 24-hour businesses and various shift workers here, there'd be 24-hour transit to match it. Well, that's certainly not the case. The last bus just passed me a few minutes ago, and the next one won't be here for at least another couple hours. Mississauga currently has 5 24-hour routes, including one that connects to Terminal 1. Brampton also has some after-hours service, but the express bus that runs through this airport district stops for nearly 4 hours after 1 a.m. Toronto is a different case. There's a full so-called Blue Night network. Multiple buses crisscross the city. 3 routes get to the airport terminal. Palm says there are positives among the 3 services, but adds it's time to rethink transit.
Providing transit service in the off-peak is a matter of equity and is a matter of justice. If equitably serving people from all walks of life is something we want to make sure we're doing in our city services and things like transit, then making some investments to support shift workers is a step towards that equity goal, because so many newcomers and people with low incomes are working in these at these times of day and are overrepresented at that time.
The Transportation Justice Study out of U of T tries to illustrate the plight shift workers face, but it's only a partial glimpse.
We need better data on different parts of the off-peak week: early evening, late evening, the early part of the night, the early morning. And that may require partnering with some of the firms and businesses that actually employ a lot of these workers.
Matthew Palm says the aggregated data isn't enough to help with all the planning that's needed to boost transit service. He says it may mean working with businesses to survey employees to help carve out schedules. But it's not just workers who need to get around off-peak. Palm says there's been a post-COVID surge of remote workers who are going out more.
Now they've got extra time to do things, so they're going out at night. So the stars have kind of aligned to create a situation where planners are having to think more strategically about how do we provide high-quality transportation services.
Based on what he's found, he says more needs to be done.
When you're thinking about allocating service, you're allocating it in blocks of 3 to 4 hours of time, because that's how long your bus drivers can work before, they need to take substantial time off. To what extent can we align transit service with those schedules?
Given the vast size of the GTA, Palm acknowledges the cost. He says microforms of transit should be considered, such as a ride-sharing service like Uber or Lyft.
Minivans that the transit agency charters, you hail them on an app, they come pick you up. These are also advantageous because at night, we don't want the shift workers waiting around a long time for a bus.
Or better access to cycling infrastructure, more sidewalks, and better lighting to help with safety. We asked My Way, Brampton Transit, and the TTC what they're doing to address concerns. My Way staff say in a statement they're studying on-demand transit, and that with surging ridership demands, they want to boost off-peak services in 2024. It's not clear what that might look like yet. A TTC spokesperson touted improvements in recent years. They also noted the service is in the midst of a public 5-year service review. We didn't hear from Brampton Transit by our broadcast deadline. Regardless, Palm says this reality remains.
It's still, to many riders and to many residents who are stuck driving who would rather not be, it doesn't feel like enough because we are playing catch up.
In Toronto, Nick Westoll, City News.